Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are going to unpack the playbook of a literal legend. We're looking at Warren Buffett, a 95-year-old investing icon who is currently navigating a highly unusual economic landscape. For the first time in 60 years, Buffett actually watched the Berkshire Hathaway meeting from the audience instead of sitting up on the stage. He's handed the reins over to a new CEO, Greg Abel. And right now, he is looking at the global economy through the lens of nearly a century of experience. Okay, let's dive right into this. How exactly does the world's most famous investor navigate a market that, honestly, it looks a lot more like a casino than a place of business right now? It's a fascinating paradox. We have a guy who built his entire massive empire on patience and fundamental value, and he's currently operating in an environment that is just completely driven by lightning-fast speculation. To understand his playbook, we are going to follow this quick roadmap. First, we'll look at the art of doing nothing. Then, the casino stock market. Third, navigating economic threats, followed by the future of Berkshire. And finally, we'll wrap up with Buffett's golden rule. All right, Section 1, the art of doing nothing, or patience as an investing strategy. So, with a new management arrangement in place that Buffett says is working perfectly, Berkshire Hathaway now has the ultimate luxury, the ability to patiently pick their spots without anyone breathing down their neck. $380 billion. That is the staggering amount of cash they currently have on hand, just sitting there. But they aren't spending it. Why? Well, because Buffett looks around the market today and he simply doesn't see a lot of things at the right price. In a world full of people constantly pitching deals, Berkshire is actively choosing to do absolutely nothing until the math actually makes sense. Now, what's really interesting here is the ironclad discipline behind this. Buffett loves to point to Tom Watson Sr., the founder of IBM, who basically attributed his massive success to staying strictly within his specific areas of intelligence. He said, "I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots." Buffett freely admits, there might be 20 amazing deals out there right now, but if he doesn't personally understand the businesses, he just leaves them alone. He flat out refuses to kid himself about having an edge in new industries that he hasn't grown up with. Because the truth is, truly great opportunities are astonishingly rare. Out of his entire 60 years in this business, Buffett says maybe only 5 of those years have been really, truly juicy. So his strategy is beautifully simple. Avoid what you don't know and just wait for the phone to ring. When a deal does make sense, like when they recently bought Bell Labs, they can make decisions faster than anyone else on Earth. But until that phone rings with the right deal, they wait. Moving on to Section 2, the casino stock market, speculation versus true investing. Buffett uses this absolutely vivid analogy to describe what's happening today. He compares the modern financial market to a quiet traditional church that suddenly has a flashing neon casino attached right to the side of it, and people can just freely wander between the two. Now, historically, there were always more people in the church, the long-term investors focusing on business value and following the rules. But right now, the casino side is drawing incredible crowds. People are trading one-day options, which Buffett bluntly calls gambling, not investing. He notes that we have literally never had people in a more gambling mood than right now, spending all their time trying to figure out how to get around the rules rather than just following them. So you might be wondering, when does the casino actually clear out? Well, the best time to buy is when nobody else will even answer their phones. Buffett points out that during a true market panic, those wonderful, loud trading departments suddenly go completely silent. Spreads widen, bids become subject to change, and the market turns into what he calls a slaughterhouse. It's an environment so brutal you don't even feel like eating hot dogs for a while. But that exact panic is when those rare, juicy opportunities finally present themselves. Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds into navigating economic threats, specifically inflation and the great unknown. If we look back, history shows us that runaway inflation completely alters a country's reality. Buffett recalls the pre-Volcker era here in the US, where basically cash was trash and people completely lost faith in the currency. In the 70s and 80s, Nebraska farmers totally collapsed because they were borrowing at 12% to earn a 6% return, absolutely convinced the dollar would disappear. And globally, post-World War II, dozens of countries went totally bankrupt from runaway inflation. It is a tragic, destructive force that ruins economies. But there is a defense. And Buffett's ultimate inflation hedge, it's not gold, it's not crypto, it's investing in your own skills. He says if you're the best doctor in town or the best lawyer in town, you'll always make money under any situation. If you are the absolute best at what you do, even the best TV personality, You will always be able to command a share of the economic pie, no matter what happens to the value of the currency. Your personal talent is literally inflation-proof. But what about the threats that nobody sees coming? Buffett warns that the biggest dangers always come out of the blue. Right now, he points to deep fakes, highly realistic AI-generated media, as a terrifying macro threat. Imagine a perfect deepfake of a world leader causing immediate, widespread panic. Buffett actually compares the unpredictability and the potential danger of AI and deepfakes to the invention of nuclear weapons, or the sudden assassination that sparked World War I. You can't predict it, and while worrying about it doesn't do any good, we have to be absolutely cognizant of the risk.
All right, Section 4, the future of Berkshire, focusing on leadership and the American miracle.
You know, Berkshire's internal strength shows it is genuinely built to last. They rely on this super stable portfolio of everyday products, things people just buy daily. Buffett notes that strong underlying companies, like Coca-Cola or Apple under Tim Cook, can actually survive bad management decisions for a really long time. Now, the smaller problems, those are handled by excellent lower-level managers. But the massive, overwhelming problems, that used to be Buffett's job. Today, it rests squarely on the incredibly capable shoulders of Greg Abel. But Greg Abel represents something even bigger to Buffett. There's this great anecdote. Greg, who is Canadian, is currently studying to get his U.S. citizenship, and Buffett shared this really touching story about sitting with Greg as he studied the Constitution with his young son. To Buffett, this perfectly encapsulates the 250-year secret sauce of America. He calls the U.S. economy an absolute miracle, a system that, despite its flaws and inequities, has consistently attracted people from all over the world for centuries. You just can't buy or package that kind of enduring appeal. And that brings us to Section 5, Buffett's Golden Rule, life advice from a 95-year-old. So the crucial point is this. After talking about literally billions of dollars and massive macroeconomic threats, Buffett's most important message to the thousands of shareholders in that arena wasn't about money at all. It was simply, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Now, Buffett admits he isn't a highly religious guy, but he points out that nobody has said it better in 2,000 years. He insists that if you live by this rule, it practically guarantees happiness in parenthood, in being a boss, and in business. It doesn't cost you a single dime, and it naturally results in better behavior directed right back toward you. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a fascinating question to reflect on. How will you apply Buffett's 2,000-year-old golden rule to your own professional and personal life today? Because at the end of the day, it's not just about accumulating wealth. It's about how we choose to operate in the world. Thanks so much for exploring this with me, and keep learning.